You cut the carbs, counted every single calorie, and you pushed yourself on that treadmill until your legs felt like they were about to give out. Logic says the weight should be coming off by now. Your numbers show you are eating less than you are burning, but when you look in the mirror, that layer of fat around your belly has not moved one bit. If anything, it looks puffier, softer, and more stubborn than ever. And here is what most people will never tell you. This is not your fault. It is not because you lack discipline, and it is not because you are weak. There is a very specific biological reason why that belly fat refuses to leave. And that reason comes down to a trap that most people are walking into every single day without even knowing it. This trap means that even if you eat zero sugar, your body will still manufacture its own sugar. Even when you are fasting, your body is still storing belly fat. And what is even more unsettling is that the very things you are doing to lose weight, the exact things the internet and your friends are telling you to do, are quietly feeding that belly and making it worse. If you stay and watch this video all the way through, I am going to show you the hidden mechanism behind all of this. 3 specific traps that older adults fall into while thinking they are doing everything right, and more importantly, 4 practical steps that will get your body to willingly release that belly fat without you having to suffer or stress any more than you already are. If people had known this sooner, they would not have spent years grinding away with nothing to show for it. How deep belly fat is different from regular fat. First, let me explain why the fat around your midsection is completely different from the fat anywhere else on your body. The fat you can pinch on your arm or your thigh, that is subcutaneous fat. It sits just under the skin, and health-wise, it is not all that dangerous. But the fat deep inside your belly, the fat that wraps around your organs like your liver, your intestines, and your pancreas, that is an entirely different animal. In medicine, we call it visceral fat, and it behaves less like a storage tank and more like a living, active organ. What makes visceral fat especially dangerous is that it is loaded with what researchers at Yale University call cortisol receptors, which are essentially stress signal receivers. Think of them like highly sensitive antennas. While fat in other parts of your body might ignore a mild stress signal, your belly fat picks it up, amplifies it, and reacts immediately. That is why when you are stressed, the first place that feels it is your waistline. And here is the part that tends to stop people in their tracks when they hear it for the first time. As visceral fat grows, it starts releasing its own inflammatory signals, and those signals push the body to produce even more cortisol, meaning even more stress hormone. More cortisol then pulls even more fat into the belly. You see the loop here. Belly fat is not just a victim of stress. It is an active participant that creates more stress to keep feeding itself. It builds its own self-preservation system right inside your body. Why you can eat zero sugar and your body still makes its own. Now maybe you are thinking, well, I do not eat sweets, I eat pretty clean, so what does cortisol have to do with me? This is the part I really need you to pay attention to, because this is exactly where most people get stuck without ever understanding why. Your liver is an incredibly smart chemical factory. When cortisol rises, it sends a signal to the liver that essentially says, hey, we need energy right now, maybe to run from a threat, maybe to fight something off. The liver receives that order and immediately starts manufacturing glucose out of amino acids and body tissue. This process has a scientific name called gluconeogenesis, which simply means creating new sugar from things that are not sugar. So you could be eating absolutely no carbs, no sugar, or even fasting completely. But if you are stressed, your liver is still pumping glucose into your bloodstream. When blood sugar goes up, the pancreas immediately responds by releasing insulin to deal with it. And what is insulin? Insulin is the master switch of the body. When insulin is high, fat burning shuts off completely. So now you have high cortisol and high insulin both at the same time while you are fasting and exercising. That is exactly why you can do everything right on paper and your body still will not let go of the fat, because your body is receiving a danger signal, not a safety signal. 3 traps that seem healthy but are actually feeding your belly fat. Now, let me walk you through 3 specific things that a lot of older adults are doing every single day with the genuine belief that they are on the right track, but that are quietly generating more cortisol and locking that belly fat in place. Trap number 1 is chronic cardio. We grew up hearing that if you want to lose weight, you have to move more. You have to power walk, jog, ride a bike until you are soaked in sweat. And that advice is not completely wrong, but the problem is in the way most people apply it. When you do moderate intensity cardio for a long stretch of time, say jogging for 45 minutes or cycling for an hour every day, your body does not read that as a fat burning signal. Your body reads that as a migration signal, like you are walking across a desert searching for food with no end in sight. This is evolutionary language from hundreds of thousands of years ago, and your body responds accordingly. It raises cortisol to keep you moving. And when you do this every day without giving your body enough time to recover, cortisol never gets the chance to come back down. The result is that your body starts breaking down muscle tissue for fuel while simultaneously pushing fat storage toward the belly for reserves. You get smaller but softer, weaker, and your metabolism slows down more than ever. The scale might drop a little, but the belly fat stays right where it is. You are burning exactly the wrong thing and holding on to exactly the thing you want to lose. Trap number 2 is fasting while you are already stressed. Intermittent fasting is a genuinely powerful tool when it is used the right way and by the right person. But there is a version of fasting that is doing real damage to a lot of people, especially those who are already living with a lot of stress, not sleeping well, or trying to juggle too many things at once. Picture this. You are only sleeping 5 or 6 hours a night. You wake up to a long to-do list. You are worried about your kids, your health, your finances, and right in the middle of all that, you decide to fast until the afternoon or even go 20 hours without eating. Sounds disciplined, right? But here is what is actually happening inside your body. You are stacking two sources of stress on top of each other. The stress from life plus the stress from being in a fasted state. That total load exceeds what your body can adapt to. Your body starts interpreting this as a real famine. Once it confirms famine, your thyroid slows down, your energy crashes, your hands and feet go cold, and your body grips that belly fat tighter than ever because it is the last emergency reserve it has left. The whole point of fasting is to drive insulin down, but if the stress of fasting pushes cortisol high enough to make the liver dump glucose into the blood, you have canceled out every benefit. You are just hungry and stressed at the same time, nothing more. Trap number 3 is broken sleep in the middle of the night. This is the quietest trap of all, and also the one the fewest people ever recognize. You go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, you try to get a full 8 hours, but somewhere around 2 or 3 in the morning, you snap awake for no clear reason. It is not noise, it is not the temperature. You are just suddenly completely alert, and your mind immediately starts racing. You think about tomorrow, you replay yesterday, you worry about a dozen things with no name. You toss and turn for about an hour before you finally drift back off, only to have your alarm go off an hour after that. This is not just poor sleep. This is a metabolic event happening inside your body. While you sleep, your blood sugar naturally drifts downward. If your metabolism is not very flexible, or if your cortisol has been chronically high, that blood sugar can drop too fast. Your brain, which is an enormous consumer of glucose, senses that energy levels are falling into a danger zone and hits the emergency alarm. Your adrenal glands immediately fire off a shot of adrenaline and cortisol to wake the liver up and push glucose into the blood. That surge of adrenaline is literally what wakes you up. You are having a full fight or flight response right in the middle of your sleep, and you have no idea it is happening. And the consequence is that you miss the deepest stages of sleep, the stages where growth hormone is released. Growth hormone is the thing that burns visceral fat and preserves muscle in older adults. Instead, you spend the night bathing in cortisol and insulin, and you wake up in the morning puffy, holding water, and with your belly fat right where you left it. 4 steps to tell your body the war is over. Now we come to the most important part. How do we break out of this loop? The answer is not to do more or eat less. The answer is to send safety signals to your body, because your body can only release fat when it believes you are safe. Step number 1, replace chronic cardio with a walk after your meals. The first step is to shift how you think about movement entirely. Instead of trying to burn calories by running long distances every morning, we are going to use your muscles as a natural blood sugar filter. Here's how it works. After every meal, your blood sugar rises. Normally, the pancreas has to release a large amount of insulin to manage that sugar. But muscle tissue has a separate pathway for absorbing glucose that does not require insulin. When you contract a muscle, it can pull sugar directly out of your blood without any insulin needed. By taking a brisk 10 to 15-minute walk right after you eat, you naturally bring your blood sugar down through that mechanical process. Less insulin gets released, less fat storage signal gets sent, and your digestion works better on top of that. The best part about this approach is that it creates zero stress on the body. It is gentle, easy to do, and it does not require you to exhaust yourself. Step number 2, use a safety anchor before bed. If you are someone who wakes up at 2 or 3 in the morning, this step is specifically for you. We need to stabilize your blood sugar before it crashes during the night and triggers that adrenaline response. The formula is simple. 1 teaspoon of raw honey and a small pinch of high-quality sea salt taken together right before you get into bed. Not a snack, not a meal, just those 2 things. The honey gives the liver a small, steady supply of glycogen, just enough so that the brain does not go into alarm mode during the night. Think of it like putting just enough gas in the tank before a long drive so the engine does not stall out on the highway. The salt helps calm adrenaline and keeps the body's fluid balance steady. By preventing that blood sugar drop, you prevent the adrenaline spike that goes with it. You sleep through the night, and when you sleep through the night, your body enters the deep stages of rest where cortisol drops to its lowest point and growth hormone peaks. That is the natural visceral fat burning state your body has been waiting to get back to. Step number 3, short bursts of real intensity, not frequent long sessions. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but hear me out. We do not want that chronic cardio we talked about earlier. But we do still need a strong enough signal to tell the body to build muscle and burn stored fat. That signal comes from short bursts of high-intensity effort. Once or twice a week, you perform a brief, all-out effort. That could be walking as fast as you possibly can up a hill for 15 seconds, then stopping and resting completely for 2 minutes, then repeating that a few times. It could be pedaling a stationary bike at full speed for 20 seconds, then resting. The total session does not need to go beyond 15 to 20 minutes. This style of movement is an exact match for how our ancestors moved when they were hunting, short, intense, followed by complete rest. The biological signal from this kind of effort triggers a powerful surge in growth hormone. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that short, high-intensity bursts can raise growth hormone levels very significantly. Growth hormone is the direct counter to cortisol. It builds muscle and burns visceral fat. You get the maximum hormonal benefit without the chronic stress and wear and tear. Step number 4, eat enough protein inside your eating window. If you are practicing any form of fasting, this is the rule you cannot skip. You have to earn your fast with what you eat. You cannot fast and then break it with a small salad and a few crackers. That is not discipline, that is doing damage to yourself. When you open your eating window, protein has to be the #1 priority. Protein is the most filling nutrient there is, but more importantly, it triggers the release of glucagon, a hormone that directly opposes insulin. Glucagon helps the body use stored fat as energy. A simple rule to remember: take your ideal body weight in pounds, and that is roughly how many grams of protein you want to be taking in during your eating window. For example, if you want to weigh 150 pounds, you want to be aiming for around 150 grams of protein per day. This sends a very clear signal to the body that says we have resources, we are in a safe state, there is no need to hold on to emergency reserves anymore. When the body gets that safety signal, it willingly unlocks the fat it has been holding on to. The secret weapon you cannot buy at any pharmacy. Now, I want to talk about the most powerful thing out of all 4 steps, and it also happens to be completely free. No supplement, no device, no exercise program you could ever buy compares to this. It is a chemical signal that directly counters cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. Oxytocin is the bonding and safety hormone. These two share a biological seesaw. When one goes up, the other has to come down. And you can activate oxytocin completely on purpose at any moment with one simple practice. I call it vitamin G, which stands for gratitude, deliberate and intentional gratitude. Not the kind where you just say thanks and move on, but where you take 60 seconds to genuinely feel appreciation from the inside. It could be the warmth of your coffee cup in your hands in the morning, the sound of someone you love, the sunlight coming through a window. When you generate that real feeling of appreciation, not just thinking about it, but actually feeling it in your chest, Your heart rate changes, your nervous system shifts into safety mode, and cortisol drops like a pressure valve being released. A study from the University of California, San Diego found that people who practiced gratitude regularly had better heart rate variability and significantly lower morning cortisol levels compared to those who did not practice it. Doing this before a meal can also improve your insulin response after eating. Doing it before bed can help you fall asleep faster and sleep more deeply. This is a physiological reset button you carry with you 24 hours a day, and it costs absolutely nothing. The full picture. Let me bring it all together so you can see the complete picture. You are not fighting a calorie math problem. You are untying a hormonal knot. Your belly fat is a symptom of a body that is stuck on high alert. And a body on high alert does not let go of anything. To break out of that state, you stop the chronic cardio that drains you and replace it with post-meal walks that gently stabilize your blood sugar. You stop the aggressive fasting while you are already under stress and replace it with adequate protein so your body feels fully resourced. You stop letting those 3 a.m. wake-ups destroy your sleep and replace that with the bedtime safety anchor so you can sleep through the night uninterrupted. And you add at least 60 seconds of deliberate gratitude into every single day to bring cortisol down from the inside out. When you do these things consistently over time, the body recognizes that the war is over. The visceral fat no longer has cortisol to feed on. It starts to mobilize. Your energy comes back. The brain fog begins to clear. And slowly, that stubborn waistline starts to shrink, not because you are suffering more, but because you have finally learned to speak to your body in the language it actually understands. What I want you to take away from this video is not a long list of more things to do. It is the understanding that your body is not your enemy. It is doing its best to protect you in the only way it knows how, and the signals it has been receiving are simply wrong. Your job is to change those signals, and you absolutely can do that, no matter how old you are. Start with the smallest possible step today. Just take a 10-minute walk after dinner tonight and feel the difference. If this video was helpful to you, please share it with someone you care about. With anyone who has been struggling with belly fat and does not understand why, so they do not spend more time doing things that are not working. And if you found value in what I shared here today, please hit that like button so this video can reach more people, and subscribe so we can meet again at the next piece of advice, where I will keep walking alongside you on this journey toward better health.